Evening. You know, I've been wanting to talk about this, and I'm not sure if J-Dub or SpinnerNet or RHS Styles or anybody else is going to talk about it before me. So I thought I'd talk about it before they do, if they haven't talked about it already. And what I want to talk about is bragging rights. And most importantly, I want to talk about the one main event. And because it's basically bragging rights is headlined by a triple main event. The first one is for the World Heavyweight title, Fatal 4-Way. As of right now, we don't know who the champion's going to be because we're getting a rematch from Breaking Point next Friday, a submission match, same scenario, so we don't know what's going to happen there. But right now, it's Undertaker, Rey Mysterio, Batista, and CM Punk for the World title, Fatal 4-Way. And then, of course, we have the Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. We already saw what the teams are. We see it's DX, Cody Rhodes, Kofi Kingston, Jack Swagger, Big Show, Mark Henry, I believe. I think that's right. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Jack Swagger, Kofi Kingston, Cody Rhodes, Mark Henry, Jack Swagger. Yeah. And then on the Team SmackDown side, you got Chris Jericho, Kane, JTG, Shad, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, and Eric Escobar. They must be high in Eric because they're pushing him into a main event this quickly. But then, of course, you got the main event that's anything goes, 60-minute Iron Man match between John Cena and Randy Orton. Now, we know the stipulation. If John Cena loses the match, he leaves Raw. Now, here's a question. Haven't we been here before? Haven't we been in this scenario before? I mean, didn't John Cena go through this last year? Not last year, but a couple of years ago when he was feuding with Edge? He was, wasn't he? Okay, let me explain. You see, when Edge was champion, and I don't know who the general manager was at the time, but when Edge was champion, the final match, the rivalry end match, if you will, was a table, ladders, and chairs match at Unforgiven in Toronto. Now, the stipulation was that if John Cena lost the match, he would have to leave Raw. Well, what happened? John Cena won the match, and he stayed on Raw, and the rivalry ended. So the question is that going to happen now? Well, it might, but then again, this is Randy Orton we're talking about, so things may change a little bit. And of course, we're also talking about the fact that this is SmackDown's 10th anniversary year, so John Cena may end up going to SmackDown because of the anniversary. But maybe not. You see, I have two scenarios how this could end. You see, if John Cena wins the match and becomes WWE Champion again, that would give Randy Orton an excuse to probably go out and feud, possibly with Legacy, either Cody Rhodes or Ted DiBiase, one of them. That would give him an excuse. It would also give him an excuse to go feud with other people. And it would allow some other heels, if you will, that WWE is high on, other heels, if you will, and other baby faces, to get title matches. For example, we have Jack Swagger, who WWE is high on. They can give him an opportunity. The Miz, who obviously they're getting high on, they can give him an opportunity. And there's so many others, like baby faces. Kofi Kingston can get an opportunity, right? Big Show, perhaps. You know, Cody Rhodes, Ted DiBiase, the list goes on. They got a lot of baby faces, tweeners, and heels. They can get that opportunity to become champion. You know, they don't always have to stick to just Randy and John. But then again, here's another scenario. The match could end up in a tie. Let's go back to the 15th anniversary of Raw. The 30-minute Iron Man match between Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle. Now, Kurt was the heel, Shawn was the face. Now, at the end of the 30 minutes, both men were tied at 2 falls apiece. And instead of possibly settling it once and for all in sudden death overtime, what does Kurt Angle do? He walks off and decides he'd rather leave it in a tie and thus let the rivalry continue, if you will, instead of finishing the rivalry, instead of finishing it right then and there. The same could be said for Randy Orton and John Cena. Let's say after 60 minutes, after they beat the heck out of each other with whatever was available, that at the end of the 60 minutes they're tied. And let's say Randy Orton, playing the heel, decides, I've had enough, I'm leaving, I'd rather keep it tied, I'd rather have John Cena stay on Raw, or even if, let's just put it this way, if it ends up tied, and they have the opportunity to go to sudden death overtime, we could either have Randy Orton try to say, okay, let's continue to do it so I can get him off Raw, or play the typical heel, walk off and say, I've had enough for tonight, I don't care if John Cena stays on Raw, as long as I have the WWE title. So, that's the way I look at it, because I don't really think WWE wants to take the face of the organization, if you will, the Hulk Hogan of the modern era, and put him on SmackDown. I don't think they want to do that. I think they want to keep him on the flagship show. So, like I said, there's going to be two scenarios that's going to cause that. Either he's going to win and the rivalry is going to end, it's going to open doors for everybody else, or it's going to end up in a tie, and instead of going into sudden death overtime, Randy's going to walk off, say he had enough, and that he'd rather keep the he'd rather have Cena stay on Raw than risking possibly losing the title in overtime. That's the way I see it. Those are the two scenarios on the way I see it, and on how John Cena can stay on Raw. Because like I said, I got a feeling WWE is not going to let the face of the company end up on SmackDown when he could stay on the flagship show. And that's all I have to say, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace.